Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Matchups to watch, LSU and Ole Miss coming up on Saturday night. I'll get on to the field as far as the players go with my second and third matchups, but I really do believe that this first matchup is just vital to this game, and it's Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weis Jr. moving the chess pieces against Blake Baker. LSU last year simply could not line up and know where to be. And Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weis Jr. absolutely cooked LSU 6 ways from Sunday on almost every play. They had 706 yards. They averaged 8 yards per play on 88 plays. They had 8 plays over 20 yards and 5 touchdowns over 10 yards. It was not even hard. And Jackson Dart was out there, and Trey Harris was out there, and Henry Parrish was out there, and Priestcorn was out there, and like a lot of Ole Miss's skill players were out there, and Savion Jones was out there, and Greg Penn was out there, and Whit Weeks was out there some, and Zy Alexander, Sage Ryan, Major Burns, like a lot of these guys are the same. And I realize that this is a little bit of a vague matchup to watch, but Blake Baker's job is to make sure that LSU is in the right place. Like, if Jackson Dart throws the ball up and Trey Harris or one of the Ole Miss receivers goes up and high points it, that's going to happen against these LSU DBs. They haven't played the ball exceptionally well. That's just part of it. If Lane Kiffin gets a bunch of guys running seam routes and there's nobody in the vicinity, well, that's again, this staff is not having guys in the right place. And they didn't early on in the season at times, but they have the last 2 weeks. And if LSU can make Ole Miss do it while covered, do it with guys in their run fits, then I think the Tigers have a chance to slow things down. Kentucky and South Carolina did. Ole Miss did not go all up and down the field on South Carolina. And I'll tell you this, Trey Harris is going to go early in the NFL draft. The rest of these guys aren't. Like, they're just not. You're talking about a bunch of wide receivers that average less than 3 catches a game. Quinshon Judkins is gone. Priestcorn's a fine SEC tight end. Parrish is a decent running back. Ulysses Bentley is on a milk carton. Like, the guys that cover Ole Miss don't even know why he's not playing. Logan Diggs isn't ready to play it. Like, they don't have a ton of NFL guys on that offense. What they have is an elite mind moving the chess pieces and a quarterback who understands what he's doing. And that was enough last year, and usually is enough for them, far more often than it's not, to score a bunch of points. But Blake Baker's got to get LSU in the right place. I know they've been coaching it. We did a whole segment in the first hour, me telling you what the players are telling us on Tuesday. They know that Ole Miss wants to play fast. They're preparing for it 2 different ways. They know you can't celebrate on defense. They know that Ole Miss is not just going to settle for a punt on 4th and 2. Like, they've got to know where to be, and that is the first huge matchup in this game. Blake Baker getting his guys in position. We'll switch sides of the ball. We'll go to the Ole Miss defense against the LSU offense. Ole Miss has dudes at defensive tackle. Y'all know Walter Nolan at this point. Unanimous 5-star when he signed at A&M. J.J. Pegues is a freak of an athlete. He's got 6.5 tackles for loss and 4 rushing touchdowns this year. That's correct. 6.5 tackles for loss and 4 rushing touchdowns. He's 315 pounds. And they snap him the ball in a direct snap. Like, he is a freak athlete. And those 2 guys man the middle. And DJ Chester has had his problems this year. And if DJ Chester can't line up and hold his own, I'm not telling you to flat back Walter Nolan 13 times in this game. I'm not telling you to reestablish the line of scrimmage against J.J. Pegues 5 yards down the field like LSU in the Les Miles days playing ULM. You got to hold your own. You can't let these 2 guys blow everything up. And they can do that on the interior. I know that Ole Miss leads the country in sacks. I know that Princely Umamiele has had a huge year. He may or may not play. I know that they've got other guys like Ivy who have been really good. Perkins has been awesome for them. He's kind of like Harold Perkins light, and he's been in the backfield making a ton of plays. Like, they've got dudes on the edge as well, and they're aggressive. As I said entering the South Carolina game, if I can't trust LSU's 2 tackles to block, well, then nothing's going to work, okay? Like, if you can't trust the best guys on your team, then you're going to lose. So I'm just going to assume that LSU is going to hold up there, and then I'll go to some of the areas that I perceive to be weaknesses and see how LSU can hold their own. If LSU keeps Pegues and Nolan from making 6 tackles for loss and 3 sacks and keeps Nussmeier upright and establishes some modicum of a running game, they're going to be okay. But my concern is right there on the middle. It's Dellinger, it's Frazier, it's Chester on those monsters in the middle for Ole Miss. If those guys are feasting in the backfield, it's trouble for LSU. If those guys are kept at bay, Nussmeier will pick on this Ole Miss secondary. It's not that great. Trey Amos out there is a pretty good player. They got him in from Alabama. He gets some pass interference calls, but he's a pretty good player. They don't really have much else in the way of NFL talent in the secondary. And I know that Chris Hilton's probably not going to play, and I know that C.J. Daniels is now doubtful to play, and I know that Cal Parker's out for the game, but I'm okay with LSU going out there with Kyron Lacey and Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas and Mason Taylor, basically, and going to work. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Shelton Sampson. We'll see if Trey'Dez Green has got a package to come in there, if Pimpton needs to play a little bit. But LSU is going to be fine on the edges. It's Ole Miss's line creating issues for Nussmeier, who, oh, by the way, made some bad decisions against South Carolina. That is a huge, huge piece to this puzzle in this game. LSU's interior offensive line has got to come to play. And then the last piece here is Ole Miss's offensive tackles. Jaden Williams has been their starter at left tackle, or was to start the season. He's out. He's not going to play. So Diego Pounds has played left tackle the last 2 weeks, and then Micah Pettis is Ole Miss's right tackle, and that's going to be their bookends in this game, the same thing that they were at South Carolina, and they did an okay job. Pounds transferred from North Carolina. He was a starter there, and Pettis has started 23 games at Ole Miss. Kentucky whipped Ole Miss at the point of attack with its defensive line. They got 4 sacks. Dylan Stewart did a good job against South Carolina. He got back there for a sack. But LSU's pass rush needs to be its identity on offense. If you ask for Zy Alexander and Ashton Stamps and P.J. Woodland and Sage Ryan and Deshaun Spears and J.K. Johnson, if you ask those guys to run around with Ole Miss in this scheme for extended periods of time, big trouble. But if Braden Swinson, Deshaun Womack, or Savion Jones comes ripping off the edge and makes a play on Dart, strip sack, forced early throw, tipped ball, third down sack, those are game changers. Those are crowd energizers. And LSU simply must have 3, 4, 5 of those in this game. Baker's going to get aggressive. They're going to try to get into that prowler package when they have opportunities there. It's going to have to be 3rd and long for that. But you've got to have your ends against a backup left tackle and an okay right tackle bend the edge and make some plays on Dart. If he's got time, you got issues. If he's got time, you've got issues. But I believe LSU's pass rush is good. And I watched Kentucky get back there and make life miserable. Now, a lot of that was from the interior, and I don't think LSU does a ton of that. I don't think Gio Paez gets a huge push here. I don't know that Ahmad Bro's ready to take over a game like Chad Lavallee or Glenn Dorsey or Michael Brockers could do. But on the edge, I think you got a chance. And I don't think Ole Miss's tackles are ticketed for the first round of the NFL draft like LSU's are. So if you can get back there and force, you don't have to get 8 sacks or take over the game. You just have to get them at opportune times to energize the crowd, maybe get a turnover, flip the field, stall a drive, whatever the case may be. Again, no one's asking Blake Baker in my first key here or the pass rush in my second key and my third key here to hold Ole Miss to 17. Kentucky did. I'm not asking you to do that. LSU's going to score more than 20 like Kentucky did. I'm asking you to make some game-changing plays, stall some drives, hold Ole Miss under 30 points, and then see where the dice fall. But those are the 3 matchups that I find to be huge in this ball game. It's Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weis Jr. against Blake Baker. It's Ole Miss's defensive tackles on LSU's interior offensive line. And it's Ole Miss's offensive tackles against the edge players for LSU. Those 3 matchups, I believe, likely tell the story of how this game goes. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.